All right, guys, happy Sunday. Got the pup with me this time, and in yesterday's video, we jumped into kind of, my process for getting a feel for the bigger picture of the market, where we are in terms of direction, how the overall sectors are looking, as well as, the leading stocks of our market. So we kind of ran through that together. We put together, a basic kind of overview of what I was seeing, what we're seeing as a team, and now we're going to jump kind of into the more specific, game plan creation watch list for tomorrow. So I'm going to put her down and let's jump right into this now. So creating a watch list, guys. The first thing we did yesterday, as I mentioned, was just get a good feel for, the overall market. We start with the big picture. For me, that's the S&P 500 and the Qs. Then we look at the individual sectors. Then we look at some of the leading names. So what did we find yesterday? The market, relatively weak Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the market wasn't that strong last week to finish things off. And that was primarily due to weakness in the technology sector. So just do a quick look at the charts. We were able to quickly determine that technology, which has led our market on this entire bull run, was pretty weak on Thursday and Friday. So with that being said, that, needs to be a part of our game plan. We also, were able to note that the financial sector looks poised for a potential move. A few weeks back, we saw a big rush of volume head into financials, and then it kind of just died off, and the whole group got sold off in a pretty aggressive manner. Now, because of that, oversold action, I was able to catch a nice bounce play in JP Morgan last week, and, we're going to look for that again this week. The same setup, the same trade, and the same execution. So weak technology, interesting financials, and then the Chinese stocks. As many of us know, those Chinese names have gotten kind of battered and beat around the past few months, mostly due to, the trade wars, all these things going on with the United States and China. I'm not going to, claim that I really understand the whole trade war thing. I really have not paid any attention to it at all. All I really need, and in all reality, all we need is the charts. So with that being said, those were our findings from yesterday's quick little, run through. Weak technology, interesting financials, and China. So with that being said, we'll kind of jump in now. So that's where our focus is going to be. Tech, financials, and China. And again, the recap on technology. Tech sold off last week, and here's what we're going to look for this week. Two things. One, a potential bounce to the upside, where buyers are going to come in, gobble up some shares of these big name stocks at these lower levels and give us a nice bounce to the upside, kind of like what we saw in finance on a smaller term. That's the first possibility. The second possibility is that this leg, this down move in technology continues another leg down. Now, a lot of you will look at the charts and think, could Amazon really go down anymore? Could Facebook, et cetera, et cetera? Absolutely, guys. These technology stocks have just, carried the load here for our entire market for the past few years. And as good as it's been, as fun as it's been and as profitable as it's been to trade Amazon, Netflix, names of that nature, they're very overvalued. They're very technically extended. Our market does need kind of a reset at some point. Now, I'm not saying there's a crash coming, but you need to be able to kind of, make the distinction between, the market collapsing and a healthy, normal little pullback. So those are the two possibilities for tech. We're going to bounce, or we're going to kind of stall and possibly continue downward. In terms of the individual names in technology I'm going to focus on, I like Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and NVIDIA. So we'll jump right quick into the charts here. And the first one we'll start with is Apple. Now, despite some of, the underlying weakness in technology, Apple has actually been one of the stronger stocks. It's kind of, bucked that trend, so to say, and has just even kind of in this crappy summer environment continued to make a really good move. Now, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it kind of stood no chance. The market was just too weak, and you saw the pullback there. But nonetheless, guys, Apple's been a very strong stock. We have earnings coming up relatively soon. These are the kinds of things we want to pay attention to. So again, we've got the name here. We've got the chart. What are the two things we're looking for? A bounce to the upside or another leg to the downside. Now, We're going to jump kind of, later on this evening into how we can monitor that, starting from tomorrow to be able to see, which of those, situations is unplaying. But nonetheless, right now we just want to put together a game plan, and Apple's the name we want to have on our list. Also want to have NVIDIA, NVDA. Now, NVIDIA's been interesting lately, Gap down on earnings, monstrous move, I'm looking to make $50,000 next time we see a move with volume like that. And it's been all over the place now. It really got sold off here last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a big tumble. And again, what are we looking for? A bounce or a move back to the downside? We're putting together our watch list now. We're getting the bigger picture. We're focusing on a few individual names. We're going to show up tomorrow, with our notebooks, with everything laid out. The video coming tonight is going to discuss what you need to do during the session to take action. So Apple, NVIDIA, I like Facebook. Now Facebook had the nasty gap down here after earnings and has literally just gone sideways ever since. Those are a lot of bullshit moves. In all reality, Facebook has gone absolutely nowhere. Now, I own some late November calls on Facebook right now that will make a monstrous return should the buyers step in, but nonetheless, Facebook is a market-leading stock. Putting aside the past few months, this stock has been a beast. At some point, guys, unless the big money is just not interested in Facebook anymore, which is very unlikely, at some point, some of those guys are going to reach into their wallet and accumulate Facebook down here at those levels. And here's the thing, God be damned if we miss a move in Facebook back to the upside. I'll quit trading if myself and we as a team miss that move. And here's all we need to do. Be observant. Just pay attention. Take our notes. When Facebook starts to see, overwhelming buying coming in, we're going to ride that wave and just freaking kill it. So Apple, NVIDIA, Facebook, and Amazon, by far the strongest stock in our market, took a nice little spill here last week. Again, nothing wrong with Amazon. This was just a move in technology. So boom, boom, boom. Nice move to the downside here in Amazon. And, it looks like we're finding some support down here at this 1860-ish level. So again, Amazon will bounce or Amazon will consolidate and make a move back to the downside. We just want to have our game plan together so we know what we're looking for. So in terms of technology, guys, again, we'll jump more into what you should do tomorrow, during the session to stay, aware and prepared. But those are the names I want to focus on. We have the bigger picture of technology, which is some weakness, looking for a bounce or another move back to the downside. And there's our individual picks: Apple, Amazon, NVIDIA, and Facebook. Now we're going to jump over to financials. Kind of the same thing here. Nice bounce last week on some pretty decent volume in the financial sector. And again, when you follow the money into the sector, you can make some great money on those individual names. Took my position here in JP last week. 2-day move, 130% return on options. You reach a point where, you need a few of those a month to make a good amount of money. Now, despite that nice volume coming in for a few days, the whole financial move just kind of died out and completely stopped. What are we looking for? We're looking for this trend to resume back to the upside. Those buyers may come back in and push us back to the upside here, creating opportunity to go long in those financial names. If more sellers come in, the same sellers that pushed us down here, they could push us back down to those lows. Again, we just want to be observant of the bigger picture. And as a team, we're then going to jump into, what can you do from the open, the afternoon, up into the close to take action on these setups. So looking for a move back to the upside or another leg down to the downside in finance. Personally, there's no specific reason behind this. I like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Looking at my yearly profits, I make more money on Goldman Sachs than any other stock. No true reason, to be honest with you. It just seems to work that way. Those are my two picks. So for the financial sector, here's what we're looking for. A continuation of the move that started last week back to the upside, going back to the north, or we're going to take a turn down south and have another leg down. All we got to do is just a few quick notes. Monitor the financial sector, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. Potential move to the upside, potential move to the downside. As simple as this shit seems, guys, you're doing more than 90% of traders are this weekend. Even if you've never placed a trade in your life, if you're going through this process with me, you're more prepared than 90% of retail traders. It's kind of a pathetic statistic, but 90% of traders fail because they just fucking suck at the preparation. They put no effort into it, but that's our generation. We're going to put in no effort and walk away with boatloads of cash. That's kind of the thought process. So there's a picture on financials. And in terms of China, again, I'm not too up to date on all the news pieces, on all the details and the specifics, but United States and China have kind of been going back and forth. President Trump and, whoever runs the show over there have been butting heads. We got the trade wars, the tariffs, etc., etc. There's been volatility in the Chinese stocks, primarily in BABA. Now, though BABA is a Chinese company, it's a big piece of our market. It's one of our market leading stocks. And as you can see, since this summer, we've had one leg down, another leg down, and another big leg down. Most moves to the downside take place in 3 waves. Wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3. At some point, guys, these Chinese stocks are going to recover. BABA will someday move back to higher highs. Someday YY will likely move back to the upside. I'm not saying it's going to happen Monday. I'm not even saying it's going to happen in our 10 weeks together in the 10-week course. But someday it will happen. In order for us to make a shitload of money on the financial stocks, on the Chinese stocks, what do we need to do? Stay aware and be prepared. Having the awareness that China has been so weak creates a boatload of opportunities for us. It's such a simple thing, but we have the bigger picture of these Chinese stocks now. Now there's a whole plate of potential trades in front of us. My 2 favorites in this group, obviously the first one being Alibaba, a market-leading stock, even here in the United States. What are we looking for? Volume to come in. I want to see a big rush of buyers, kind of like we saw over here, begin to accumulate BABA. I want to see the wave start, and I want to jump on as soon as I can. That's where the whole follow the money approach comes in. Those of you in the 10-week course, you're going to hear me saying follow the money in your sleep. So simple, but so key. The follow the money thought process is the one thing that allows me to do nothing but trade full time. So simple, but just so key. So we want to watch BABA and be prepared to follow the money. And then YY, another Chinese stock. This setup is making me wet. Beautiful squeeze here. Now guys, a squeeze is when a stock kind of just begins to trade sideways in what's called, a big consolidation. And that's kind of like a rubber band. It's going sideways, it's going sideways, it's going sideways. The more we pull a rubber band, the sooner that thing is going to snap. Now, at some point, YY is going to snap here. It'll make a move to the upside, or it'll make a move to the downside. We can make a lot of money on this move by just simply monitoring the charts, being prepared, and then whichever way we see the big money going. If the big boys just start buying the shit out of YY, we're going to buy it as well. We're going to ride that wave. If they start selling it big time, like they did over here, then we're going to ride that wave to the downside. Being observant and aware of a group of stocks or a particular sector creates a lot of opportunity for us, and we can kind of go with the big money. We can avoid going against the grain, and we can have the wind of those big institutions at our back if we just stay aware and we're prepared to follow the money. So in tonight's video, I'm going to share with you guys kind of the setups, my chart setups that I'll have open tomorrow morning to observe technology, financials, and the Chinese stocks, and that'll kind of tie everything together. So we went through the weekend routine. We got a good feel for the big picture, the market itself, the individual sectors, and some of our favorite leading names. Today we jumped into the 3 things that we identified as potentially fruitful, and we put together kind of a game plan of the individual names that we want to focus on in each group and what we're going to do with each of those names. And then later on tonight, guys, I'm going to send out another video to you where, again, I'm going to jump into the details of what you can do tomorrow to be prepared to take action on these names. So That's it, guys. I'm taking Coco for a walk, and I'll talk to y'all later.